Hello! Welcome to A Moment with Abby. Ding! Today is Free for All Friday, and I have a very special guest. She's the lady whom gave birth to me. Is that the proper English, Mom?
I'm going to say Erin's not here. She's the English teacher. I don't know.
Welcome, my mom, Lynn.
Good afternoon or good evening across the pond, my little precious girl.
Hello.
Hello. Well, I'm very happy to see you and to be here, to hear you. And I did want to say one thing from the fantastic podcast that I heard my two children's talk about the crown.
Oh, yes. You mean the one that your favorite child and the brat talked about?
Yes, I was able to clean my bathroom and fold my laundry. I wanted to let you know that Edward is number 4 of the children.
Yes. Mom, he's number 4.
He's number 4.
He's always going to be just number 4.
He'll just always be number 4. And Diana died in 1997.
Dang.
I believe it was because we were at the Antelope Valley Fair and you were traumatized and so was Ricky.
Yeah, I got on the internet and I was like typing Jason. I remember it so vividly.
That was just was I trying to do a correction or what was I trying to do there? So I guess everybody...
You want to get on the conversation.
Well, I think everybody now knows cool. I'm the corrector.
Which brings us to our subject of the day. It is quality over quantity. And Mom, what does that mean to you?
Well, before it used to mean, what kind of fruit I bought or what kind of candy I chose. But as you
did teach me the proper squeeze method.
I did. But as you and your brother matured, I realized that I needed to use my quality over quantity method of choosing fruit. I needed to bring it in and make it real when it came to people.
Yes.
And I found that I needed to do it more once the internets became the internets. Because as you shared with the people,
mm-hmm.
Your generation was really one of the first to really use the internet to, meet people secretly and not tell their parents.
Lady?
And, to join chat groups. I'm doing quotation marks. I don't know if you could hear that in my voice, but really, you guys really were the ones to learn how to lie to your parents through the internets really, really well.
Oh, we really did.
You really did. And you guys took something that was, made for the military and you used it against your parents. It's a weapon.
We used it for like cat and dog memes, Mom. That's the whole point of it.
I have to tell you, some of the best cat memes were the early ones with the cat falling off a TV. I lose it every time.
Every time. That dumb cat.
Or that cat leaps off the couch and goes, misses. It kills me now. I found that because I am old school, and even though I'm the one who brought the devil into the house, because you and your brother learned how to use it quick. You're little kids, and you're like, DOS. You knew what you were doing.
We're called coders now, Mom.
Oh, is that what it is? I just called it my little fiendish liars. You guys learned it well. Something happened along the way. I found that it became and has become because, as an old lady watching this happen and who used to, it still makes friends in person, by the way. That's a thing. You're making these friends that are online or you're talking to these nameless, well, they have a name. They'll have some kind of name they made up.
Faceless.
These faceless people, I guess, are people. They could be bots. We have one listening to us.
It's like we have Craig in the chat. He is our bot.
I see a little picture of him. That's Craig to me.
That's true. He is not faceless.
No, he's not faceless. I noticed that because your husband travels for a living and you guys live in different parts of the world, which has been fantastic. But at the same time, that you've met lots and lots of people, right? But not a lot of quality people.
It's just a lot of people are thrown together that are from different walks of life. They're very different people from all over the world.
Now, what's the thing, Abby, that you seem to glom onto first? When you meet these people in different parts of the world, you're very drawn to people who are Hispanic.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and then you're drawn, you love everyone. And people are drawn to you, which is a blessing and a curse, right?
It's my burden.
It's your burden. But because you have so many people, you're a light, Abby. You're the light. Like little what's-her-face in Poltergeist.
And it also attracts the moths.
It attracts the moths and it attracts the flies. I like moths. They're so cute and they're harmless. But then here come the wasps and the flies, right? Because they see the light.
Right.
So now you have to like piece through these people. And I remember you were perplexed. Your husband started to do his business early in life, and you were very young. And then you go off into the world, and you would be perplexed by these people you were meeting from different places. And it wasn't even the people who were living in the foreign lands that were a question mark, because they seemed to be fantastic.
Yes, they were.
I think mainly because you understand that, you're American and they're Okinawan, or they are, or British, or wherever, or they're from Georgia. I'm just kidding.
They're their own. Like Texans, they're their own.
The problem, you meet these people and they're different, but then you meet the people that, are from the US and are from different backgrounds, which is always really cool. But then what did you find, Abby? What was your main complaint to me?
My main complaint is that people they're not who they first appear to be. They hide parts of themselves that are that would appear negative once you get to know people, but it was mostly they were not as you thought they would be from you to the next person.
I think for me, what I don't like the most about a person is if they're a liar.
Yes.
What happens is that I'm a really good reader of people, which is honestly, Abby, that's a burden because I can't fake liking someone. I have tried. I've tried to fake like. It doesn't work. It hurts my soul. I start to feel like I'm falling apart and that I'm losing the real me by not just being myself and be like, you know what? Be quiet and be gone. If I don't like you, you know it. But you know what? I am going to be like the best person you've ever met because I'm not going to fake you out. Guess what, Abby? You have that too.
Sometimes I think I do. And a lot of times I think I have too much of a filter. It's more of like I'm a smoother. I like to make sure that things are smooth, and I don't like confrontation. I'll do it if I have to, but normally I'm a surface girl. I'm not like super deep, but I want things to be smooth on my surface.
You are a shallow pool like your mother. I like, people are like, that's really deep, but I'm like, I'm a shallow pool, man. That's too much.
I think it's those super deep emotions. It's like, why?
Ugh. I'm like, this is too much. I have really close friends I've had for decades. I can count them on my hand. I have a lot of acquaintances. I have friends, but I can tell you that today, in my 100th year of life, I have a handful of very close friends who know me very well. And that's what's being lost today. You're not meeting people of quality that you want to hang out to. You're not meeting people that you can be sure of, that you can be yourself with. And that is really tragic to me. Like, my best friend is moving to my state from her state. We've been friends for 30 years. I have another friend that I grew up with. She and I have been friends since literally almost 60 years. I have another friend who I've known her for a while, but she and I have become really close friends. I'm talking about a handful of friends. I'm wary of people.
Would you say wary, or would you just say particular?
I am probably both. And why? It's because I think I was very shy as a kid. I grew up fast because I had to be the older kid. And my mom and dad made us very aware that my sisters were going to be my best friends. Of course, my sisters are above being friends. They're on another level. And so I just really glommed onto my sisters, and, because we were always together. So then I just, my mom and dad would be like, you can't trust people. People will do you in. We'll only have your family. Does this sound familiar, Abby? Because, and then might have shared that with you.
Say yes. And that was going to be another question of mine. That is how we were brought up. Maybe it was because we're Hispanic and it was a different time in Southern California. Yes, there was a lot of other Hispanics there, but there was still going to be some inequality. There's this filter. I don't know if our family has learned this, if it's ingrained in us. How would you explain that filter to other people? Would it just be because we've been taught? Like, is this like our family legacy?
I'm going to tell you that my mom and my dad was terribly treated by his family. We grew up circling the wagons, and it's terrible to feel sorry for a parent, by the way. And I used to say, I never wanted my kids to feel sorry for me or for their dad or anything like that. I'm sure there are times you felt sorry for your dad because I wouldn't stop talking, but
I was probably talking right behind you, so
possibly. So we would circle the wagons and we were very protective of our parents, and they were very protective of us. So we kind of grew up in this bubble. And then I meet your dad and hit their family. This is a politically correct podcast.
It's not a controversial channel.
We're not controversial. They're different from us.
Yes.
But my mother-in-law was wonderful and loving mama to my husband and a loving grandma to my children. And she showed me nothing but love. A wonderful person. She was very protective of us as well. So we were very highly protected. Just be careful because people will try to mess you up and stuff. But honestly, I think my mom and dad, because they were in the time of the 60s, she's a Renaissance woman. She can do anything. She's in her 80s and my mother is amazing. And my dad's wonderful.
I think that they're a great role model for us to look at growing up when it comes to reinventing yourself or figuring out a way to just make it happen.
Well, I think my mom just wanted us not to have a bunch of people messing up our lives and influencing us.
Yeah.
So she wanted us to pick people that were, lack of a better word, worthy of us and our time, because she didn't want us hanging around with people that were going to influence us to do terrible things.
I think they call that they're going to do hood rat things with my friends.
I could see mom and dad, and then I can see what I taught you, and actually what your dad did teach you, and that was being really careful about the people you bring into your home, into your life, into your children's lives. It was difficult, I think, when you were going to foreign countries and trying to make friends, and then you were meeting people that weren't, lack of a better word, of quality.
Right.
And it just came to the point where, I wasn't going to be there. Your dad wasn't going to be there. Your brother's not there. You're going to have to make some choices. You've done really fantastic making choices, because since we had our talk about quality and quantity, you can have 1 million friends, but what kind are they? Are they friends that you get to your home? Because I don't like strangers in my house. I'm not a fan of social media, although we are on the social medias right now. I'm not a fan. I don't like the personal information, the personal involvement that these faceless people have with each other. I like seeing that they've made a beautiful dinner.
Oh, I like to see their plates too.
I do. I really love when they cook. I love seeing pictures of their children, because I love seeing their kids and seeing how they look like their parent and stuff. I just love all that. Because when I see you and I see numero dos, I love to see the resemblances and stuff. But then you see people, they want to argue about politics. I love politics, don't get me wrong. And if we're face to face, I don't have any problems telling you how I feel. But I want you to tell me how you feel respectfully. And I'll be respectful to you, because I love people who have different thought processes. They come from a different place, so I can learn.
Right. And that's, so that comes to, since we are talking about being a quality person, for many years, you told me and my brother, hey, whatever you write down, whatever you type out, whatever is tangible will be around as proof for whatever. Yes, you want your word to be, you want to back up your words. What is that called? Like, you want to...
You don't want to be shy about your emotions. You want to be true. You want to, put your, how you truly feel out there.
Right. But then if you're going out there and you're trolling under your name or just being a jerk and a half, there's going to be consequences to that. Are you willing to put that out there? Because if it's a flippant comment, or if you're just going to be like a jerk for the day, is it worth it? It's going to be there forever.
It really is going to be there forever. And I'm just going to tell you, because in my line of work, I happen to know that you're never truly anonymous online. Eventually, they're going to know what you've said. And a lot of times people are surprised. What? How did the job that I was interviewing for, how did they know that I wrote this dissertation on how much I love Hitler?
Right.
How did they know? And oh no, how did they know that I was looking at child porn?
Right.
I'm like, for real, people? You think that they're not looking or listening? I mean, if you can talk about loving Robert Downey Jr. and have 47 pictures pop up, and Spotify can tell me that I've listened to Paul McCartney 720,000 times this year.
Did they tell you that might be stalker level?
What they did tell me was, you haven't reached the point where we need to notify Mr. McCartney.
And even then you'd be like, we could get to that level?
You mean he'd know? Yeah.
Oh, wait, real quick. And this is very out subject.
Sure.
It's 1 year since you touched his statue's butt.
I want you to know that picture came up on my pictures, the Google
Yeah.
thing. And that's another thing. So the Google and the Apple love to tell me stuff. Yeah, I saw that picture and I was like, so lonely for Liverpool.
Oh, no.
I said, I miss my child, but I'm going to talk to her later today about quality people. I do want to say that you have met quality people.
I think I have. I was just talking to a friend today about this, actually. And she said, and I think I've told you this before, it's really resonated with her that we were not meant as human beings to be intimate with our acquaintances or with people that we just randomly meet. With that being said, I do try to...
We talked about intimacy.
Yes.
And I think that's why you spoke with your friend, because you and I had a really good conversation about how intimate people are with people online.
We're intimate too quickly.
Way too quickly. But go on.
You know, we were discussing we're not meant to be so close. The word friend does get tossed around pretty easily. Now, for me, I believe the word friend and the word love are they're not like sacred words, but they're really, they mean a lot to me. I don't just say you're my friend right away or I love you so quickly, because they hold meaning for me. When you friend somebody that you meet right away, I have to be conscious of who I am friending. And, you can curate your internet or your social media to however you want to curate it when it comes to, acquaintances or friends, close friends. I have to be mindful of my kids are on there, even if it's an acquaintance through whatever volunteer work I'm doing. I'm not going to put pictures of like my kids up in a very intimate manner, as in, I don't know, like in any other way. It just seems kind of vulnerable for them.
Super sensitive. I mean, and you're right. I mean, I think you and I talked about some years ago about when we were giving the kids telephones. I meant cell phones, because I am from 1825. So cell phones, it always worried me, because you want your kids to have a carefree life, number one. You want them to enjoy the people that they meet, and you want them to be choosy about the friends they make.
Yes.
Okay, so before cell phones and before the social medias, you met your friends at school, and you met them the old-fashioned way, face to face. Some you liked and some you didn't like, and you just were kids, and you found your way, and then you would make those one or two friends, and then those would morph into different friendships. Because I see it with my grandkids that live here in Texas. I see how friendships have morphed. I also see the lone wolf. Your brother's one of them. He was very particular. He hated people touching his stuff. So he never wanted anybody in his house or in his room.
Right.
And I would say, well, so-and-so wants to come over. And he goes, I don't want him over, because he will want to go in my room and he will want to touch my stuff. Okay. And then I'd say, hey, someone called and he said he'd like you to come over and he wants to play the piano for you. He'd say, I really don't want to do that because I have no interest in it.
Thank you, Ricky, for keeping it real.
He kept it real, and he was very particular. But if his friend Kyle called, Kyle could touch the toys. Kyle could show Ricky the toys. They were very particular. They picked each other, and
Right.
It was particular, and it was deep. And I don't think either one of them have an affection for each other to this day, because they picked well. Your brother's really particular about who his friends are. And they always seem to be opposite. They always seem to be, they're independent thinkers, and they always seem to be politically opposite of him.
Oh, I agree. I'm the same way.
And I think I love that. I know you are. I've seen that. And that's what I love. And I think that was the quantity that my mother and my father wanted to instill in us. And that was, and my mother-in-law, she would tell your father, she'd say there's some people who are really good and some people who just are not that good. And don't let anybody interfere with your family, what you need to do. And so he took that to heart, and he did. And she always said family is the most important. And then when she passed away, she even had a letter to that effect about family being very important. And I think your dad and I, being of kind of the same ilk, we were like, we want our children, if they're going to have friends, that these friends are meaningful, that they're driven people with purpose, no matter what that purpose was, and that they just be really good quality people. And you do have several quality friends who I just adore.
You answered my question, or that I have a question that I wrote down, and it was, what makes a quality person? You're right. Someone with purpose, someone who is going to just be trustworthy. I have come across many people through our, like, how my husband works and everything else, where our time is short. So you do have like this sense of urgency, but you have to kind of push that down. Like, okay, listen, like, you have to chill, because really it takes a couple of years to get really close with somebody for them to, and I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, I am so wonderful, as in people have to prove themselves to me, but really it comes down to, it's a relationship. It's a real, like, in my mind, it sounds so silly. It's a real relationship, give and take on both sides, and you want it to be equal on both sides. So I'm not saying like, oh, these people have to be so quality for me and I'm just going to be like a dirtbag. No, like, I'm going to give as I am taking as well. It's symbiotic. Is it symbiotic? No, it's just a really,
Yes, you're like parasites on each other.
I was going to say that doesn't make sense. You know, I wrote a list of like what I believe is a quality person.
Tell me what they are.
I want someone who listens, like actively listens and hears what I'm saying. I don't know if it's my personality or if it's something that I grew up learning. I actively listen. Now, it doesn't mean I remember, because I have a really bad memory. And then I want someone who's trustworthy. I want a friend that I could just be myself with, you know, and know that they're not going to judge me. I mean, you could judge me a little bit and be like, Abby, what are you doing? It's more of like
No, it's correction. It's
right.
Like, it's positive critique.
Right. So I want someone who cares about my well-being. If you see I'm struggling, or if you see that I might need a little help, I am not the type of person who will ask for it. I mean, like, I got this. I am going to carry the weight of the world. I'm good. Thank you. Like, I'm not going to invite myself over for lunch. I'm not going to invite myself over for anything. I will invite you over, but it's going to take a little time for that to happen.
I am very particular about who gets invited in my house. So with that said, why would I talk to anybody on the internet about anything that's truly meaningful if I've never really met them face to face? That might be the old-fashioned person in me.
Yeah, I think that is a little old-fashioned when it comes to, I met a friend, and I could call her a friend. We met through, do you remember this, Mom? Zenga.
I do.
She lived in Okinawa when I lived in Okinawa as well. And then she ended up moving to Texas. We still talk to this day, like randomly on Instagram and stuff, but we met in person in real life. In fact, it was weird.
But that's the thing, that you met in person.
Yeah, we did. But at one point it was like, are you this person? And she's like, yes. She looked at me and she goes, are you that person? I was like, yes. And we're like, oh, hey, like, we're internet friends. It was a little awkward at first, but then we became, you know, like, it is weird with my generation. We did come from like analog, and now we're in the digital age where we see both sides of that.
That was really fortunate that you got to meet that person. And I'm not saying that you can't make friends with someone that you meet online.
Right.
So if that's what it came across, I might have actually meant it, but now I've changed my mind. I think because you could, like, video, you and I are looking at each other right now. I think that you can meet somebody, but that takes a lot of bravery. There's some people who don't want you to see them.
I am not shy. I am, hey, you know, like, what's up, guys? It could have been different if I'm just going to turn and not look at that person.
But as far as you know, our kids think that having a lot of friends equals greatness. And it can. And if you have the personality to have, a lot of friends, you can have lots and lots and lots of acquaintances. And acquaintances to me are people who don't really know you. They know you on the surface, and actually that's okay.
Yeah.
So I think that the talk today is really about maybe helping our children seek good people, or seek people who are worthy of their friendship. Don't give it away so fast. I mean, would you be intimate with someone in person that you just literally talk to? Are you going to tell them your deep, dark secrets?
No. I do have a couple of friends like that, and they're very few. One of them is she's a new friend, but I could literally call her my friend because I think that we have endured many of English winter together. So I feel like that trauma has really brought us together. But my friend Jenny,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I respect her opinion on certain things or if I respect that we could have two totally different opinions about something, but we could respectfully be like, all right, well, I don't know, maybe it's our age, I don't know what it is, but one time I was hanging out with her and somebody said something and it really pissed me off, and she looked at me and she said, Abby, you might need to rethink what she said because it wasn't as bad. And I was like, but she said no. She looked at me in the eyes and was like, Abby, I don't think it was as harsh as you thought it was. And I was like, okay, thank you, okay, I got it, thank you. It could have been detrimental because I really was gonna, like, as the young kids say, pop off, but I didn't because I was like, oh, okay, well, it's not gonna help anybody. I really respect her. I want to be that quality friend to her as well, because if I went nuts, she would have been like, she didn't even listen to me. She didn't even take my feelings into consideration either in this. And it could have been, she could have not wanted to hang out with me anymore. You know, I think if you become friends with somebody, you do need to be vulnerable with them in a way where you have to hear what they're telling you. You have to listen to them and then actually maybe even do it.
You do. My friendships, I have my one friend, Annette, who could tell me anything. And she will correct me and but she'll pray for me because, I love prayer. She'll pray for me. So that means a lot to me. You got to take care of who you choose to put around your children, who you choose to put around your emotions. Stop being so intimate with people. Stop not thinking. Stop living in the moment, because it works really great in movies. But when you do things without thinking, if you live in the moment, like, it's wonderful when you go to a foreign country and you guys got caught up in some kind of a rave in France, didn't you?
Totally got caught in a rave, but it pissed off me.
But that was momentary.
Yeah, but it pissed off me and numero tres, numero uno, dos, and my husband were raving it up.
But that was like, you got caught up in the moment. You got caught up. We're in France, then a rave.
We're gonna rave from truck to truck, and I'm like, I'm sweaty, I'm hot, I'm really stressed out. Can we go? Can we leave? Maybe it's a personality thing.
Well, it has to be, because I can't stand crowds. So I would have been like, I'm out of here.
And Mom, let me tell you, I tried. It was claustrophobic.
I know you did. But no. So you live in the moment. Oh, this happened. But honestly, you need to be more, not you, people in general need to be a little bit more choosy. There's too much intimacy going on the internet.
Way too soon.
And then people get their feelings hurt, and they're believing that these 10 people who are complaining on Instagram matter.
They don't.
They believe that these people, well, they're just really mad about so-and-so. Did you see that? Who's they? I always ask, who's they? Well, on the on Instagram, but who's they? Well, it's this group of people, and and every one person represents like 10 other people. What other 10 people? So it's just usually like, what? So I only care, and I will use my line. If they're not your they're not worth it. And even some family members are not worth it. Believe me.
Snaps, claps. Snap, clap.
And so you just really have to teach our children and our young adults and our old people, and stop being so trusting. To this day, as long as we've had a telephone, old people have been fooled. Okay. Somebody calls them up and is like, Grandma, I'm in jail. Come and get me. I'm your grandson. Is that you, Dusty? Yes, it's Dusty. Anyway, and then Grandma sends $5,000 over the phone. People get fooled. Well, now we have a brand new, not only do old people still get fooled on their cell phones, but you have young people being fooled by older people.
Or being fooled into a relationship, into a friendship.
Right. You have immature children leaving their homes and trying to get to different states so they can have some kind of a love affair with some 40-year-old guy sitting in his mother's basement.
Yes.
You have teenagers running after, and people will say, well, that's always happened. You're right. But it took more effort to happen. There's no effort in it now. There's no effort. There's no excitement in meeting new people. There's no questioning the person's background or their qualities. There's no taking time to explore each other's, minds, having a conversation. There's nothing like that anymore. I mourn that. The great thing is I can have relationships with my friends that live in California and my family. I can have relationships with my daughter, in England. You can talk to your friends in Okinawa, in Georgia, in wherever. The world is very small. Now that the world is very small, it's also super available. You can't go in a grocery store and get everything at once. You have to go to like 14 different stores to get, I don't just go to Walmart and that's it, pick up my stuff and come home. No, I got to go to Winco because your dad has to have his sunflower seeds. And I have to go Kroger.
Costco.
Because
Kroger.
Costco,
Yes.
Kroger, because they have my Lavazza coffee. And I go to Walmart if I need to buy an iron, because I will not order from Amazon.
We are not a controversial channel.
I'm sorry, but I won't do it.
Because they're going to ding me, Mom, on YouTube.
I'm going to tell you, I love small business.
Oh, that was one of my good of the days.
Yes. And I said, thank you, Abby, because I am a small business person. I order online from small business.
I did say go to small business, but then the next day I did go to Primark. And yes. I consumered it up. I find it should be a good balance.
Your brother is giving Mr. Bezos a lot of money because there's been like 400 packages from Amazon to my house.
I will not show you my husband's closet. I can't. I'm addicted.
No, so I'm also the person that loves small bookstores. And, and I love people's, their bakeries. I love our little donut shop that's here. It's her donut shop. I love to get coffee at these individuals. So I'm like the individual. I like the small business person. So that's who I am. The point I was trying to make was you get different things from different people, and that makes you a whole person. It gives you a well-rounded personality.
I tried to be smart when it comes to these podcasts. And I did some research and I was talking about the different levels of friendship or the different types of friendship. You can have a friendship that is beneficial to you. And it's not in like a negative, like I'm only going to take, but it's more of like a friendship of, we could help each other in some way in the season that we're in. Then there's the close friendship where you guys have been friends for a bit, where you have shared stories together, like a closeness. I think you would call it breaking bread with someone. I find that to be like an intimate thing as well. You just don't, I guess with us, it's kind of like if you eat with somebody, you're like today I had lunch with a friend. I ate so much food was falling out of my mouth. I don't know what my problem was, but she didn't judge me. So, there's that close friendship that we have. And then the third one was, it's like a lifelong friend. It's different from a close friend because we do, with the person who's beneficial, that's a season. Your close friend, that could be a season. Like my really good friend Yvette, I think we're lifelong friends. We went from beneficial in Okinawa. We needed to be friends. Like we had to. It was like we clung to each other at the time, and because we had a lot in common. Then it went to close friends where we shared a lot together, as in like experiences and things. And then it went to lifelong friend where I don't have to talk to her every day. I don't have to share every little thing. But when we get together, it's like no time has passed at all.
That's so true.
And not only that, we'll be there for each other. I mean, I'm going to toot my horn. One time her daughter was stranded in an airport. I literally called the USO in that airport and tried to get her into there because I love Yvette so much and I love Maya so much. I want to make sure that she would be taken care of. Now, in the end, she was able to catch a flight, but with Yvette, she will drive 3, 4, 5 hours, 6 hours to come spend time with me at your house for like a day.
She'll plan it and she'll plan how to surprise you.
Yes. So, the level of friendship, it really rung true for me because I've been reflecting on this. We've talked about having this podcast for a bit, and I thought, what are the level of friendships? And I've been reflecting on some of my past friendships or friendships that I still have, and they all kind of progressed in that same way. And I'm like, oh, look at me, I'm researching. And yes, I'm applying this somehow. I didn't know I was, but I was applying it.
Well, you did go to college.
Did you, or do you find this to be true?
I find it to be very true. I love that you looked this up because when I was listening to you, I was like, oh my gosh. And I could plop people into those slots. So
Yes.
I have 2 lifelong friends. One, my sisters are my sisters and nobody can come close, period.
You did say, so Ricky's really close to me. Me and my brother are really close, but I think it was because you traumatized us when your father and I are dead and gone in the ground. You only have each other.
Did it
And I was
work?
like, you're right.
Did it
Yes.
work? That's all I care about.
Yeah,
So
because
that's-
I traumatized my children with it now.
Well, my methods were probably rough, but as long as as long as the outcome was good. So my lifelong friends are Kathy and Annette.
Yes, I would have named them right off the top of my head,
Right,
even without you saying.
They are, but and I love Annette. She's very close, almost a sister, like my cousin Michelle. Okay, so they're kind of, they're in a different place. My best friend, who I can laugh about the stupidest things, and she's one of the most intelligent women I know. I love her so much, as Kathy. She's your second mom. She's just, God gave her to me.
She took me to church as a teenager and I needed it.
She did. She was a Catholic and we went to non-denominational, but you know what? Sometimes we would be like, you're getting double church today, girl.
Yes, I needed it.
And then your brother loved going to Catholic church so much he converted later in life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Really, he did. He would like, could I please go to mass? I'm like, who are you? Oh man, go ahead. But he did. And then later on he's like, Mom, I'm going to be okay. And then I do have friends who are seasoned, but I actually I've had a friend for a little while. She's my acquaintance and she's become my friend. And we pray together and we talk about things only to each other, about certain things, and it's very private. And
that's where the trustworthy comes in.
Yeah, we don't talk about it outside of what we talk about. It's talked about then and forgotten, because that's like it's like an agreement we made, because our jobs are really stressful. So we just talk about it and then it's forgotten.
I do have that. You do have your 3 levels: beneficial, close, and then lifelong. Then maybe there's a category we can apply for spiritual friendship. Maybe that'd be weird, but like faith friendships. I have a whole group of people in Georgia who I consider family.
That's right.
They will pray for me in my darkest times. They literally will not judge. I've been the most vulnerable with these people for like our care group. That's what they are in our church, that I could consider them a second family, but like the second family in the Lord. So I guess with us, we could also count that as another level of intimacy and vulnerability.
Yeah, I overlooked. I think that's completely overlooked. And it doesn't matter what your faith is or your non-faith. So if you don't, if you just share a love of life and you don't believe in God, it could be perhaps a deep held belief.
Maybe a moral belief, like a deep vulnerability in a way. And it's not just like where you're sharing things with a friend and becoming close in that way. This is a different level of you share the same moral beliefs in something to the core.
Yes, I think that's really important, and it is really overlooked. If I could say something about Yvette really quick.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say something about Jenny really quick. So I haven't liked some of your friends, and I've been like, this is not my place. And then eventually you discard them.
Yeah, that's true.
But I liked Jenny right away.
Oh, that girl, she's a good time.
Well, because when Numero Tres was lost.
Literally lost in
another country. And I was panicked. I was beside myself, but Jenny had her safe. And I said, I will love her forever. And then I met her. And I loved her. And you know what I loved? I loved that you guys weren't on top, like you weren't like on each other's faces all the time. Like she was going to go somewhere. She's going to Switzerland or something. And you're like, have a great time. And
Yeah.
she's like, okay. And then we would see each other, at the pub or whatever. And it was always fun. And I could see that you guys just would light up when you'd see each other. And it was really cool to see that. And I was very happy. And then she moved. But it hasn't stopped you guys because we know that the world is small.
Yeah. I think we let each other breathe. I think that's
the
really
great thing. I love
yeah,
that.
that's a
in a
helpful
friend.
friendship. Yeah. It's a helpful friendship because also we're married. Like I need to be able to breathe because really my BFFFFFF is my husband.
Right. Oh yeah, and mine's your dad, I guess. I forgot that part. Yvette, I just love her. And I love her kids. And when I see them on Facebook, because I look at Facebook once a week or once every couple weeks, I love seeing her children.
Oh yeah.
Because I just love them. Because I mean, I've known Maya since she was like 10.
I was like, she was a baby.
And she's like this beautiful woman, smart as a whip, and just adorable and independent. And I saw
Yvette did really good with that one.
She did really good. And then, she's got this fantastic husband and they went into business and they asked me my opinion. I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't do it if I were you. It's going to flop, man. Man, don't put your house up. And now they own like 17 stores. And I'm like, don't ever ask me for my opinion. And now I'm like, I'm glad I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one who's like, I don't know. Lynn, if you buy this one thing, it's going to be fantastic. It'll make your life good. These little robot things that clean your floor.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, because I heard that sweep up your carpet and take your dog in and all that. And then later on, I found out they're not half bad. I actually bought one like years later. I don't know if that's comparable, but you know what? I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm unsure. But she was, I just love seeing their success. And I love seeing her, I don't know, have a great life. And
you know what that is? It all goes down to I care about her well-being.
Yes.
When I was talking about like what I want from a friend and what I want to give a friend, I literally and to my core care about her well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And I
do too.
When I see her happy, I'm happy. I want when she's successful, I'm like, I'm successful.
And when Lorelai becomes president of the United States, I'm going to be like, I'm her other grandma.
You better believe I'm going to be like, hashtag, I knew her first.
Hashtag, I knew her first. Hashtag, is there an extra room in that White House?
Yes.
Hashtag, mama.
Viva la raza.
Viva la raza. Yeah, I mean, they're wonderful people.
Yes.
That's what you learned. I'd be like, some of these people are not quality, Abby. You gotta get rid of them because they're just going to bring qualities that don't belong in your life. And those qualities are going to infect what you have. And they did. And then
Yeah, they did.
And then you were like, no. And so what are we teaching? You're like, I don't need this in my life. And then as you had children and you became really hyper aware of people. Your brother has done the same. I don't like people around my grandkids who are not quality. You happen to have met some really wonderful people, Brits, who are just fantastic people.
They're beautiful people. Like, not just like physically beautiful because they're all beautiful, but they are, I see their hearts and they have been very welcoming when it comes to my family.
They're wonderful people. I mean, just quality. And you know why, Abby? You're attracting quality. I think because now you're being a little more, you're being more particular. And there's nothing wrong with that.
With social media, they talk about likes. It's all about likes, follows. And your kids can get trapped in that. But I've had to realize, okay, well, yeah, I have a certain amount of followers on a certain social media platform. I have to go through that list and like, okay, well, this person, this kind of faded out of this season of life, and I'll start deleting people. And then it's trying to live the life and being an example for the girls.
Yeah, everything I think that your dad and I have done has been for you and your brother.
Yes.
And everything we do is for our grandkids. Part of what we do for you and for the grandkids is we try not to be crap people.
Oh, yeah.
It's very easy to get crotchety.
Yeah.
Or as people would call your father, Loud Paul.
You mean like mean Uncle Paul?
Mean Uncle Paul, and, well, we call him Grump Paw.
We do call him Grandpa.
At the end of the day, this guy will just do anything for you. He will.
Yeah.
He literally will take a bullet for any of us. I don't know about me, but he will take it for his children.
He would take 2 for you.
He'd be like, "Here she is," and shove me in front. He and I we've been through thick and thin for 107 years, and it's
Yes. Oh, and which is kind of a surprise. You're only 25 years old.
It's really very strange, and just to tell you about quality and quantity, and then I'm gonna have to end this because my quality person will want dinner. I mean, your father and I have been married to each other twice, which is not news to you.
No, but it might be news
to you.
It might be controversial for my podcast. No, I'm kidding.
It's a controversy. Married twice. They're like, who are these people? I don't care. Wait, fast forward. So we married out of high school, which was a ginormous mistake. Please don't do that. Then we were divorced for, I guess, a year or so because I couldn't stand him really. And he bought me a vacuum cleaner for our first Christmas. And I'm like, get the hell out. And then I used the vacuum cleaner and I was like, this is a really nice vacuum cleaner. Why did I divorce him? Anyway, but he and I remained friends, which was really kind of unique. So I was like, this is not working out. And he's like, yeah, it's not. We got divorced. And then he asked me out to dinner. I was like, no. And then he asked me out again. And I said, if he's nothing, he's persistent. I said, okay. He's like, yeah, let's go out. I said, okay. So we went out, and then we never.
What? How long were you guys divorced for?
About a year and a half. Mm. And then, because one time he called, he goes, "Are you going to go to my baseball game?" And I said, "You play baseball? And why would I go? We're divorced." Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't going to go. I didn't even know you were playing. Why? I think he just wanted to know if my phone still worked. I don't know what he was doing. So anyway, we went out again, and we just never left each other after that. And he said, I didn't meet any other girls like you. There's no other girls like you.
Love you.
And I said, I went to a lot of discos and I drank a lot. I drank so much that I don't remember how I got home sometimes. And I guess there's no guys like you that I can remember. Because I'm that awful, Abby. I have problems with intimacy. Anyway, so...
Mom, shallow pool. It's
shallow
okay.
Pool. Again. And then we were married. We got married again.
I'm gonna say that I'm the angel that brought the family together.
You are the angel that forced us to marry the second time. I mean, yes, you are the one.
That I was the one that brought you together. The love child.
Our angel. And then, as your brother says, and the one that was made during the marriage.
You mean the one that was, oops, I could have been the only child. But who would I have made forts with?
You would have had nobody, Abby. I had to bring you a quality person.
Did you?
I had to make one for you. But anyway, I wish I had more, I wish I was more deep. I want your children and I want you out there, the 3 people who are listening, my mom, my sister, and me, because I'll listen to this again. I want you to pick people that are worthy of you or into your life that you would invite into your house. I want you to be really picky about who your children talk to. I want you to teach your children how to make decisions about people and not follow a crowd.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be influencing, because there's good influences and there's bad influences.
I think that's people lose the definition of things so easily.
I love that you do the podcast because first, I get to hear your voice. But second of all, you're so smart. And I want people to learn how incredible you are.
I'm okay.
As a person. No, you're incredible. And so is your brother.
Ricky's all right.
And your husband's incredible. He's all right. He has that NPR voice. He's like, I'm very mellow.
Go to
the
sleep.
Crown.
Go to sleep.
And the guy from The Crown that plays Prince Charles, I'll follow him anywhere. I'm like, really, Ricky?
He totally would. Let me tell you how much I cut out about his love for him. We talked about him being a model.
Yeah.
We talked about what clothing brand he was modeling for. And we also discussed where he gets his clothes. So there was a good chunk I was like, edit, done. We don't need that. That would be like the police would call and be like, excuse me, he's outside your window.
Well, if the dude was into watches, you would have had an extra hour, because your brother is so into watches. It's not funny. And so he knows when astronauts, what kind of watches the astronauts wore. He knows what style. He knows what year. He knows a 007.
Nerd.
If Star Wars had a watch that didn't look like a cartoon that he could wear, where people would think, is that a Star Wars, Citizens watch or whatever it is? If it was something, and that even Citizens is like below him. So if you wanted to ever do a podcast on watches, I want you to know, Abby, there's actually an audience for that. He can do one of those podcasts. He'll do a thing about watches. I don't get it.
He did pitch a Star Wars podcast, and I shut it
Abby,
down.
if you ever did a Star Wars podcast, that would be the one I would not hear. Abby, I actually do have a video of your brother lightsaber fighting his own child.
I have the same video because your nerd son shared it with everybody.
And I said, the nerd gave birth to the nerd.
Oh, it was as if. It's as if your
my one and only grandson.
The male numero uno is Baby Yoda.
He's very wise.
Maybe.
He's very wise. He says really smart things, and so smart that sometimes I'm like, what?
His dad is Ricky.
I know. Sometimes I don't understand them, but I know that they're really smart, and I'm just like, do I tell them? No, I actually do tell them. I have no idea what you just said.
Shallow pool.
Because I'm not long suffering, Abby. No. Oh, that's another thing about picking quality people. Don't be long suffering, man. It doesn't work out.
That's very true, because it could be a detriment to you, because you're sitting there suffering in it, and for what?
You have to say
enough's enough.
I don't believe that. Or if someone says something that's really like obnoxious, you have to say, you know what, that is something I can't really accept. I don't like that behavior. If you can't put that in check when I'm with you, then we can't hang.
Another thing, real quick before we start closing this out.
Yeah.
If someone shows you who they are, that's who they are. That's not, I can change them. No. If they've shown you, okay, they could have been a great person for like 2 months or so. Yeah. But they were also trying to lull you into a false sense of security. And then if they start showing you these bad characteristics, that's ingrained in them. That's who they are.
Mm-hmm. You just have to walk backwards. You have to do the moonwalk. You have to be like, you know what, I gotta go. And you gotta do the moonwalk backwards. But some people do fail or say things that, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I'll give you an example. The other day, we're working here in this office, because your brother and I share an office. His wife is sitting here, and we're talking about going to Kroger and being asked for the 480th time if we want to donate money to the food bank. I'm an advocate for the food bank, by the way. But I was not in the mood, and I said, I would like to go grocery shopping where I'm not hit up just once for that $10, man. I was in a bad mood, I'll be honest with you. So then I come and I relate this story, and my daughter-in-law she's right on it with me, because we go to the grocery store all the time. Mm-hmm. So you just get like weary. It's everywhere I go. It's not just Kroger. I love Kroger. I'm a huge fan of the food banks all over. I love the churches that give food and warmth. I guess I'm qualifying myself. So I say this, and your brother looks at me and he goes, why are you tired of it? And I said, because it just made me weary. He goes, like the people who have no food? Weary? And I said,
that's the confrontation I don't want to deal with. I'd have been like, yeah, Mom. I wouldn't.
And I said, oh my gosh, you're right. And he goes, Mom, I'm not trying to shame you, Mom. I'm just saying, like, why would that make you worry? Like, why did you pick that? He was right. And you correct me too,
yeah.
Abby. So, you've corrected me too. You'll be like, yes, you do. And you're very good at it. You'll let me know how you feel.
I gently nudge in certain directions.
No, but he called me on my crap, because it wasn't the act of not giving money. It was the act of boasting about it.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's like, he's like, so you chose that? Like, that was your choice, man? And then I thought, I'm so proud of him, because look how I raised him. But you do the same thing to me, Abby. You'll call me out when I'm being ridiculous.
What?
You do.
I think that, Ricky's a brat.
He's terribly spoiled, but so are you. But I love that you are.
That's how you made me. Thank you so much, Mom, for being on the podcast, talking about quality over quantity and relating it to social media because they go hand in hand.
They do now.
There's really no other way to, well, we could distinguish them from each other, but I think it makes more sense to put them together because if you're going to be a jerk online, are you really going to be like that sweet person in person, face to face? You can't live that life for long. So quality over quantity and being a quality person, not just being like, oh, well, I deserve a quality friend. It's also being that quality friend for others.
You have to be. You can't put out into the world garbage and think that you're not going to get garbage back. You put out what you want to return to you. And I want to thank you for, I don't even think I stayed on task. I think I was like, and then I was little and this tree is pretty. I think I was like talking about everything under the sun. Thank you for asking me.
I think you did really well. It's fun. It's good to get it out because some people do ask me, like they've asked me specifically, how were you raised? How?
Well, was it wolves?
Like, it's not that, oh my gosh, I have made all these great decisions or choices in any way, shape, or form. I am but human. I've been asked a few times because I do spout the quality over quantity. And they're like, well, where'd you get that from? And then it turns into a whole thing that maybe they weren't prepared for, but that's what they're going to get.
Hey, you got to share it, if people want to hear it.
But you want to make those, I think because of COVID and because of this, this new way of communicating, you want to make sure that those conversations are of quality and are worth your time.
Yeah, you do.
Time is precious, and we have to remember that.
Time really is precious. Okay, I love you. Thank you for everything. I love this.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Mom. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to help me out, my endeavor, in my project, in my hobby, and indulging me.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, Mom. What do you want to think of a good of the day?
The good of the day is when you go to the supermarket and they ask you to donate to a food bank or to the Salvation Army or to whatever helps a person have a meal and a warm bed to sleep in, that you do as I say and not as I do, because I assist homeless veterans and I should have known better. So my good of the day is to go and donate twice and to remember that I chose that. That's what I chose. I'm not going to choose that again. So good of the day, go donate, go give to your local food bank and love one another.
That's a good one. This is Future Abby. Thank you so much for listening to my mom and I discuss quality over quantity. If there was anything that resonated with you during this discussion, put it in the comments, send me a message, anything, because this was to share with everybody what I've learned through my life, through my parents, through our experience. Bye. Bye. Bye.